Here is a simple Lua code that can help you deploy as many processes as you want using one main process as your factory process, as your main process for deployment. So what you do is you do ao.spawn, you specify the module. In this case, we are specifying the latest module, but you have to add a couple of other tags, right? And one of the tags that you can't ignore is this authority tag. You could ignore the name and your process is going to be deployed, but it's also good to add the name so that your process is recognizable easily. But this authority tag is a must, because when you deploy a process by default, your process doesn't trust any messages that come in, right? So when you add this authority tag, you are letting your process know that, hey, trust any message that comes in and has been using this messaging unit. So this right here is the ID of the messaging unit, and by adding authority as this one, you whitelist this messaging unit basically. So what happens if you don't add this, right? Let's say you comment this code out. Basically, you're going to spawn a process, but this process will never receive any messages. All messages that come to this process are going to be untrusted or not trusted. So let's uncomment this code down here so that we receive back the process ID just to check what that process ID looks like and use it. So I'm going to save that. And right here, I'm just going to say AOS test, right? I'm just spawning a random process to be my factory process. So this is going to take a couple of seconds, and once that is done, we are going to add this code to this process. Okay, now that it's done, we are just going to do load index.lua. And this index.lua is the file that I'm having here that contains this code. Yep, that has worked. Now let's create one process, and to trigger this handler we need to send a message to this process with a tag of action create as we specified here. So if I do send, and this is going to be target equals ao.id because I'm sending to this process, and action is going to be equal to create. So just by doing this, we are going to create one process. Let's give it a second. It's spawning the other process. Okay, as you can see here, we are receiving two messages. This message has the data of the process ID, but we are receiving a second message which is saying message is not trusted. And this is being cut out by the CLI, but I'm going to log that down. So basically this message says, hey, no message is trusted right now because you didn't specify any messaging unit. And to prove you guys that this works, or that process will never receive a message, I'm going to log the second message that I receive, this message, so that I can get the process ID. Okay, so this is the process ID. If I try to send a message to that process ID by doing target equals this process ID, we shall receive the same message saying message is not trusted, right? And this message can be anything. So I'm going to say action equals test, right? That's going to be the action. So if I click enter, we shall receive back a message saying message is not trusted. Just give it a second. As you can see down here, we've just received a new message saying message is not trusted. Let's try to log the whole message and see. So do we do inbox at 4 because it's the latest inbox, and do .data to read that message. So yeah, as you can see, it's saying message is not trusted by this process, which means your message has gone to the process, but the process is rejecting it because it's not trusted. So what do you do to create a trusted process? We shall come back here and put back our tag. And it's as easy as that. If you put an authority tag and you whitelist the messaging unit, you just have to do the same process we did earlier. You do load, right? You load the latest code. And once that is done, you are going to recreate this process as well. So we are creating a new process. But here, rather than receiving two messages, we shall just receive one message, which is the process creation. So as you can see, we are only receiving one message here. And the second message is not coming because we whitelisted that particular ID. And if we try to do the same thing we did, in second position, target equals this new process, Oh, I need to first log the process to get the process. So I do inbox at 5 this time around, dot data. So after doing that, we shall try to send a message to the other process. And as you'll see, we are not going to receive this message back that says message is not trusted. So I just do a send to this target. Target is going to be equal to this process. And if I copy paste here, I can put any action, and this process is not going to be able to handle this message because there is no handler that matches any of these actions because it's a new process. It doesn't have any code, but it's going to receive the message, right? Compared to the previous process that did not receive the message saying, it said that message is not trusted by the process. So if we click here, enter, you'll see that the message is only going to go to the outbox, but you're not going to receive any message back, right? And this shows that now the newly created process with that authority tag of that ID is going to receive messages that are being relayed around the network. And that's how you create a process that is going to receive messages from anywhere. So always make sure you add this authority tag when you're spawning your process from your code or from the SDK. When you spawn your process from the CLI, it adds the authority tag by default, so you don't have to worry. So as you saw here, when we spawned this, right, we just said AO test, and it just spawned everything directly without asking us for the authority tag. And then when we sent the message, it did not say message is not trusted because the authority tag gets added by default when it's from the CLI. And that's it for this video, guys. See you all in the next one, and let's build the Proma web together.